Banana.
Jerk off motion. Jerk off motion.
Poop.
Hey, poop flinging so-and-sos. Your ears are listening to Frame Rate, a show where we rate frames. Who are we? Monkeys. That's right. Something's a little different about this episode. My name's Monkey Swaim.
And I'm Abe Epper's monkey.
Ape Epperson. Come on, it's right there, dude.
Wow.
You're supposed to say Ape Epperson.
We'll edit it back. I'll go, my name's Ape Epperson.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
And we're here with Maggie Mae Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
I just swapped out animal name for animal name in that case. But please say hey, Maggie. Welcome.
Hi guys. Oh yeah, I do have an animal contained within my name. Yeah, this is our day 2 of Monkey Madness, March, May.
Can you?
Madness.
I was gonna ask if you remember the full name. It's your month.
It's my month. I think I got most of the nouns and adjectives.
Well, this is Maggie Mae Monkey Movie Madness Month here at Small Beans. And Maggie, why don't you tell us what we're covering what monkey-related mischief we're getting up to this time for the second in our 2-part series, Maggie Mae's Monkey Movie Madness Month.
Right. It slides off the tongue like a banana on a peel. We watched Monkey Shines, which is, if you think of all the monkey movies, I would say this is one of the top horror monkey centered films that I've ever seen, speaking personally.
I Googled movies with monkeys in them, and I will say that I think we're covering, aside obviously from King Kong, who is an ape, not a monkey.
Right.
We're covering 2 heavy hitters. There are not a ton of monkeys, our main character movies. There's that one where Clint Eastwood is a cop and his partner's a chimp, Every Which Way But Loose. But
there's Project X, I want to say.
Is Project X about a monkey?
Yeah, isn't that about monkeys? Isn't that about doing stuff to monkeys? I thought it was.
Maybe. I realized there's something that I should have asked last time in our Monkey Bone episode, but I'll ask it now. Maggie, is there a reason we're doing, what are we doing here? No, by which I mean, what first gave you the idea of we should do multiple monkey movies? Because I know it has something to do with Monkey Shines.
It does. I watch these movies, when I watch them in close proximity to each other. And since then, I have just been in love with this idea that these 2 movies pair well together. Yes, they both star monkeys, but if you're looking for, like a 2-picture kind of night, you want like a weird pick, something that's a little funny, so you pick Monkey Bone. And then, as the night progresses, you want something a little scary, so then you pop on Monkey Shines, and it's the perfect double feature.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Did you watch this as like a little child and imagine yourself as the monkey? Or like, what's your story with this movie? When did you watch it?
Maggie, are you the monkey?
Am I the monkey?
Spill.
Yeah, in this film, I do identify with its, it's just, it's trying to make its friend happy at the end of the day.
That's right, because this is about a service monkey. I'll say I hadn't seen it until now. We should also mention this is George A. Romero of Night of the Living Dead fame's first studio film. And we'll get into that more, I'm sure. But my only relationship to this until I watched it for Maggie Mae's, I lost it that time, is that I used to see the poster all the time. And it's a monkey.
Poster.
It's the monkey with the symbols. And it creeped the shit out of me as a kid in Blockbuster. And I'm now realizing how little that has to do with the film, the content of the film. Like, it is not that kind of a horror movie where there's like a haunted doll and there's no doll motif. Yeah. I, as a kid, I really thought it was about a monkey doll that killed people, because if you Google it, it's based on a novel. So there's many, many different covers of various novel versions and multiple posters. One poster has the monkey doll holding symbols. Another poster has the same monkey doll, but it's clothes are different to match like more realistic monkey clothes. It's really weird. And it's holding a razor blade with blood dripping off. Then there's another version where the razor blade's in the other hand and there's no blood, which I imagine is just a ratings issue.
Yeah, for the kids. That one's for the kids.
And then there's the modern cover, which is actually a still from the movie of the monkey looking out its cage. And you're like, that makes sense. But man, I suspect a lot of people our age remember the Monkey Shines, like the cover, and know nothing about the film. So what's this movie about? Can I impress upon you again, Maggie?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite part is definitely recapping the plot of movies. But all to say, our wonderful protagonist is Alan Mann, or A-Man. And he's struck by a truck. And so he loses the use of most of his limbs from the waist down. He is a quadriplegic. And basically he has a friend who works in a lab with a bunch of he's doing experiments to create telepathic monkeys. And they have a mutual friend who's this nice lady. She's wonderful. And his friend is like, hey, if I supply a monkey, are you able to train it to, help my friend? So basically A-Man gets a monkey companion, and eventually the two become psychically linked, and the monkey starts killing in the name of our protagonist.
Killing in the name of... it's your classic man versus monkey.
Yes. And who's the man and who's the monkey? It's,
Who's the true monkey? Well, their animal natures meld. Abe, well, we're going around the horn. Any relationship to Monkey Shines, or was this the first time you'd seen it?
This is the first time I saw it. It's not exactly my cup of tea, but I'm glad I watched it. It's a gift that keeps giving. It has Stephen Root in, I think, his first role.
First on screen role,
yeah. And it's also
Tucci.
got
the Tooch.
Horny Tooch, horned up Tooch in this movie. He plays a doctor who likes to fuck. And an
adorable monkey.
It is a film that has many gifts. So I was glad to watch it.
Do you mean gifts, or has it generated many mimetic gifts? Because I would
never
believe
seen
either.
a gif of Monkey
I've never seen a gif of it.
Never seen a gif of it.
Well, at this point, I think maybe from modern eyes, it would be seen as exploitative. So it's good it's not gift a lot, but I'm surprised that it's not. It's also weird to think, according to IMDb trivia, Stephen Root has said that he pretended he had been on screen several times to give himself confidence, and he was so nervous the whole time. I'm like, man, you're so much better than this. You act circles around all these people. You got nothing to worry about, Stephen Root. You're killing it.
Wow, yeah, no. It's other people in the movie who should be worried.
Well,
there's not great acting in this movie.
It's a tough story to... I think more than usual, it will behoove us to recap the plot a bit, because just for reference, A-Man, point of order is, it's everything from the neck down is paralyzed. So I'll just say this, and this is positive, I think. I was surprised how grounded the film was, given that the climax is a psychic monkey attacking a quadriplegic with a razor blade.
Yes.
That I will give the movie.
After having burned down houses, does specifically, very clever, because I think that the serum that they're injecting into these monkeys make them more intelligent. So they're figuring out puzzles and stuff, figuring out how fireworks, and there's a lot of speculation in the film of how intelligent this monkey is. So it's kind of grounded because it has to deal with, it forces itself to obey the logic of, what is a monkey capable of, as opposed to, making it some, I don't know, some ghost or ghoulie that has, demonic presence or anything like that, like a haunting, that we kind of just, sweep that under the rug and just go, it thinks like a human. This is,
physical...
simple stuff.
No, it's more like a Sphere or a Jaws, like a novel
Right.
that about something that they thought was harrowing, and it got optioned into a movie. The iconic cover is really misleading. I don't mean to compare it to Jaws because that's way more credit than it deserves. But I mean, like, it's like it wants to be like a harrowing man versus nature survival story, and of course it would be scary to be paralyzed and have an animal attack you. Although I gotta say, given that Tom Savini, famous master of gore, was the head of the supervisor of special effects on the movie, I was bracing myself for more gory stuff. The final scene is gory, but like, you know, I saw that HBO documentary where there's the 911 call where the lady's like, my monkey, it ripped off my friend's face. It ate her face. Like, I know what monkeys are capable of. Although I don't know about capuchins specifically. They use a capuchin monkey, which is important. They use a male was the actor, which is unusual because it's usually females because they're less aggressive. Although as far as I know, there was no monkey business on the set or like no monkey accidents. But how much did you guys buy the monkey as a threat? Because I got to be honest, it's a pretty cute
It's a
small
cute monkey. It's really
They didn't
cute.
pick the scariest looking monkey.
Yeah.
Kind of monkey.
And also,
Yeah.
I dislike the main character so intensely that because the monkey is so cute, I find myself rooting for the monkey every time I watch this film.
I knew it. You little rascal.
I know. I don't believe that's the intention, but I do, and he's cute.
I don't think it was the intention because I think we're supposed to kind of like a man,
right, and I just really don't.
Well, real quick, like he becomes like not possessed, but like they start influencing each other, like. So the idea is they have some form of telepathic links. At first, Alan isn't really aware of it, but he just starts to feel like rage in general. Because I think we, in the hive mind of humans, we believe that like, yeah, they're like little people, monkeys are, but like ultimately they're like something more primal or something more in touch with like the animalistic side of us. And so he's feeling rage. And like kind of the payoff is that like the monkey like super in the pocket, like, oh yeah, I know what you want, like when he's just saying like, oh, go make this phone call, or like, so the monkey does the operations to make it happen. But the monkey also knows his like secret desires in his dreams, like, man, I really hate this surgeon who fucked up my back, because as I learned in Act 2, like I didn't have to become paralyzed. So
plus he's, for the cherry on the cake, he's fucking my wife. Stanley Tucci's
exactly.
Or Tucci is fucking my wife.
So therefore he dreams that he like different ways to kill Stanley Tucci, and one of the ways he thought of was burning down the house, because he knows that their house is like just like it's just cinder because it's like a cabin or whatnot. And so the monkey goes out and does it in the night. And then that's what kind of leads Alan to think maybe this monkey isn't all that it appears to be.
I think it's also, I just think it's clunkily put together because they deployed the information at the wrong time, because it is implied in Act 3, you start to understand that the psychic link is a two-way street. So like Alan has a line, it's basically just one moment. And I guess you just got to trust that it's true. But Alan just says, this anger I've been feeling lately, it's not me. It's the monkey. So the idea is by virtue of the fact that the monkey is getting smarter and taking from Alan's human brain, he is becoming like an angry monkey werewolf, weremonkey man, brain-wise. His mind is monkeyish. Yeah. And like, did you ever see Altered States as like a better version of this?
Right.
Or something that just I was reminded of today, and I'll just recommend it now. It's kind of a waste of time, but no. We'll see. There's a thing called Limetown. You guys heard of Limetown?
Limetown? No.
No.
It's a good spooky horror audio podcast thing, and I just think it takes the same idea in a much better direction, which is a guy in a lab is experimenting with psychic, with telepathy, and is able to establish a telepathic link with a lab pig, and then the pig gets killed by accident while they're connected, and then he starts acting weird after that.
Because
I think that's a much more interesting version,
or something like that.
Because I almost wanted him to like be lying about that, or like using that as an excuse, but it was going to be like, but it reveals his true nature. It wasn't the monkey.
I thought that's what they were going to kind of do.
What if it turned out, because they say, Tucci fucked up the surgery, it could have gone the other way. What if it did go the other way, and he's not paralyzed, and he's been doing murders and blaming it on the monkey?
You could reorder the scenes and add a scene at the end and totally make it seem like at the very end, kind of like in a Primal Fear. Have you guys seen that movie?
And it's like, who's the real monkey?
Like,
it's
shit, this guy acted like he was, he realized, like, if you reorder the scene, so it's like, Stanley Tucci he knows that Stanley Tucci is fucking his wife. He knows that his mother has been overbearing his whole life, or something like that. And it's him finally acting out. And he's like the picture perfect version at the beginning of the movie, as like, life is just, I'm just going about my business. I would never do anything crazy.
An athlete.
And then uses this crazy experience to convince.
I do beautiful nude torso rotations.
Right. Yeah. That's how we kind of. Yeah. I think Romero's brave for doing what he did, and there's an efficiency to this movie, especially in Act 1, because Romero's just like, I don't give a fuck. In the first minute, fully naked man. In minute 2, truck hits man. Minute in minute 4, he's done with he's recovered from surgery already.
You see 2 butts in quick succession. It's butt accident. Start of the movie. Yeah. Right.
So that gives you like an hour and 55 minutes to really get down to monkey business. And it's I don't know. There's an efficiency to that. That's Romero's deal, though. He kind of cuts to the chase.
I'm interested in that because the other thing is, and we talked about this with Monkey Bone too, monkey movies never make it to market unmolested, but Romero says the studio completely defanged the movie and he doesn't really like it. It's not his favorite movie of his, and that's why he went back to working outside the studio system again for many years until he came back with, I think, The Dark Half. So
much like Monkey Bone, is that what you're going for?
Well, I was saying, the same thing happened to Monkey Bone, but I just wanted to ask Abe because for me, he's like right on the line, and I would be interested in your insights. What's your just general take on Romero? Because people like him.
He's an interesting one. I was thinking about that because you kind of asked me that a while ago, or I started thinking about that question, and my thought is that he's like, if we're going to think of a counterpoint, and it's going to sound really strange, but I like to think about directors as like directors' main work, like the craftsmanship of directing, as opposed to like ideas. Like I think George Romero has great ideas. Like Night of the Living Dead is a really well done like social drama when you look at it, and it's got a lot of symbolism in it, and it's going for it. This is the stuff of like directors, but it's also producers and writers. He's got a great mind for that kind of stuff. He has good ideas. But when we talk about the craftsmanship of directing, he's very presentational. He's very just like, this is what it is. When I think of a good director, I think of someone who's like, okay, now I want to move camera, or now I want to stage the scene in a particular way. Well, why? Why do you want to do those things? And why do you why do you employ that particular strategy? So someone like David Fincher, or like a really good director, will usually have answers to all those questions. I want the audience to feel this way or that way. I think Romero is more presentational in that he's like, the idea is scary. I like the idea. So let's put a camera in front of it and shoot this scene. So it makes him on par with like a more modern director. Like I keep coming back to like Guy Ritchie, which sounds weird because Guy Ritchie has a lot of technical flash and flair, which Romero doesn't really have. I mean, like,
I would argue he does only in the sense that he he works in effects-driven genres, and you can tell
Sure,
that.
yeah, exactly.
I imagine on set, most of his problem solving is around how effects shots will be pulled off.
Right. And so Guy Ritchie, the reason I come to that one is that they're both working in that kind of field, but also like Guy Ritchie, like Romero isn't seminal in his like designs for like, okay, here's a sequence. Like the only thing I thought I saw in this movie that was even trying for that, which was like the monkey cam, which is really just like a glorified, little bit more polished Raimi board from Evil Dead. So it's not like he's inventing anything, but he's doing it slightly better, and he always did that stuff kind of slightly better. But like Guy Ritchie has bad ideas. So it's like Guy Ritchie. So he's like Guy Ritchie in terms of presentational directing, better ideas than him, but not as technically proficient, which may mean he didn't have as much money to work with. But that's all, you know, that depends on how you look at it. That's my opinion on Romero. I think he's fine. He's just not my cup of tea.
I've always suspected, or my gut instinct is also that he's just fine, but I feel bad saying that because I know he's legendary in many ways. I am going to paste into chat in Discord right now the book cover, the original book cover, because I think we should talk about it a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Isn't that spectacular?
That's spectacular. That actually
Describe
gets
it for
across
us.
what it's about more so than, you know, the
I also love that in this version, A-Man has just a classic 70s stash. And he's got his eyes gently closed, the monkey's eyes are open, and between them, a night sky is connecting their brains. It's quite something.
The
Like
guy on the
the
cover
whole
looks
face,
like my
really.
dad from the 70s. The hair, the mustache.
That mustache is popping. But Michael Stewart's Monkey Shines. It's the tan cover if you people want to look at it. But that's like, because that's more about what the idea is about. It's more about like, you know, the transmutation of what the soul, I guess.
But it looks like I drew it with colored pencils on my binder in junior high.
It's not a fantastic rendition, but it's more evocative of what the idea is.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I think that's one of the weakest part is everything around the movie that's not the movie itself. Like Monkey Shines is not a good title for this story.
No.
I don't think.
I don't think so either.
The full title of the film is Monkey Shines, An Experiment in Fear, which means nothing. It's almost like they are, again, trying to mislead you into thinking it's a slasher movie, which it's not.
It almost like gives you a surprise. Like if you look at the cover and then watch the movie, every decision seems so out of left field. But then also I feel like I wish that we also had the movie that the cover evokes. Like I want a movie about a, possessed monkey doll banging his little ding 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 ding.
Right, yeah. That kind of in a it's more akin to like the crazed doll genre, which this is not,
No.
It's really not about a haunting of something supernatural. But there can be an argument made about the supernatural aspect of the serum, because what is he doing? He's just cutting up brains.
Well, I think that's really weird. The way they make the monkey psychic is to grind up brains into a liquid and inject that liquid into the monkey.
Yeah.
Apparently anywhere in its body, because we see him do it in different places on the monkey. And the monkey, I think, starts injecting itself at one point.
Right.
And the guy never gets injections. Like only the monkey needs to get. It's not really clear to me. I also like that they made a veiled reference to a famous experiment, because like Stephen Root says, this is just like the earthworms, and they don't really elaborate, but I believe that's a reference to a famous experiment where a guy got really famous by claiming that there's such a thing as cellular memory. So he would train earthworms, which apparently you can do simple tricks, and then grind up the earthworms and feed them to other earthworms. And then those earthworms knew the tricks even though they weren't trained. And apparently he could replicate it. I'm not clear on the details, but the point is it's since been debunked. There's no such thing as your memories being in like the meat of your body. Although I think elephants have some kind of genetic homing instinct, but I don't know. The point is, the point is, let's grind up some human brains and inject them in
Yes,
monkeys.
yes, obviously, yes.
I don't think they'll become psychic, but that's the only way to find out, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta try some brain, see what it does.
Yeah,
That's
I thought
science.
it's the fact that it was marketed as pure horror. When I was watching it, I really expected. There's so many corridors that open. Like, I was like, where'd he get that brain? Oh, this is dark. And he's like, this brain's from a Jane Doe with no family. I'm like, all right, no, that wasn't
Okay,
it. We're not
yeah.
going down that avenue.
From the brain store, frozen and packaged.
Yeah. And then doesn't the lab guy start injecting himself to try and fight the monkey?
Yes. Oh, the lab guy friend is such a weird character.
I couldn't tell if we were supposed to like him or not.
I don't know. I really don't know. The way he like fights back with his boss, like that made me think that we were supposed to root for him, but he's kind of just like a weird sidekick friend. Confusing.
Yeah, I think it's like, and this is probably literally true, it's as if Michael Stewart knew he wanted a man psychically linked with a monkey, and then he worked backwards and like laboriously figured out how that could happen. So we've heard our pretty negative take on it. I want to ask, because I got joy out of this movie. Maggie, did you get joy out of this movie?
I
and
do.
What parts?
I enjoy.
In spite of it all.
In spite of it all, I really have a fun time every time I watch this movie. I do think part of it is that, it's just these kind of movies are so rare, and it's rare to see, real animals on set, let alone in this type of film. Yeah, I think it's really fun. It's really, it doesn't ask to be taken seriously.
You're big on animal training movies, right?
I am. Something about them. Something about it is just like, why would you ever write a movie with an animal? So of course, like, I need to watch it.
I think about that with, like, I understand why not, because it's boring. But I think about that when you just think about like writing a story. I'm like, one thing that all stories have in common is that they're about a human. Even if it's the brave little toaster, it's, he acts like a human. And whatever we do, it's anthropomorphized. I'm like, could you write a story that's from the point of view of a rock? And I'm like, yeah, it would just be blank pages. Like, what are you talking about? But it is interesting how we feel locked into a certain modality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you guys?
To me, I just feel like it's more like a magic trick. When I see really well-trained animals in movies, it's similar to a John Wick experience where I'm like, aha, delightful. The monkey did something very specific. Wow, that must have been hard. It's just that feeling.
Yeah.
Or I worry if they killed some of the stunt animals to get the shot. Sometimes I worry that.
I do worry that. Yeah.
Usually you can tell, like, if it's a studio film, that isn't true, or it, before it comes out, makes headline news. Because there's something, for example, something that people may not know about physical production of movies, is that you often see in the credits a line, and it's verbatim. I think it's trademark. It says no animals were hurt during the making of this film, right? You've probably seen that a bunch of times. That is not something anyone can just put on a movie. That is a thing that is as good as a stamp that's notarized by American Humane, who licenses trainers to go and make sure everything's above board, in the same way that they do with kids now, after like the Twilight Zone movie, when 2 kids died. There's just laws that are in place in order for that to happen. Accidents do happen, and they become headline news, depending on if it was. Usually it's of the fault of humans, just because it's a hard case. Like the thing that American Humane is famous for, the motto is from ants to elephants, and they really mean it. Like, if you have an ant, or if you have something as huge as an elephant, nothing can die for film.
But that's why you're allowed to kill any whales you want if they're bigger than an elephant.
Yes.
For film.
Blue whale,
Right.
go to town.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it apocryphal that they cared about, quote unquote, the mosquito and Barton Fink, or like they were on set to watch after that mosquito?
What
Is
do you
that true?
mean? Well, I mean, I think there was probably a lawsuit and they like settled out of court. I'm pretty sure is probably how that went down.
Because there's a shot where he kills a mosquito.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
couldn't
and they
fake
did
at
it.
that time,
And
right? Yeah.
the Coen brothers were like, "Who gives a shit?" And they didn't know
Right.
about the American Humane having,
And
you
they're like,
know,
from ants, sir, from ants.
From
yeah,
ants.
and they like were. How did you wait? We saw this. How did you do this? And they're like, oh, we thought it was
killed it.
just fine. And they're like, well, that he can't do that. So
You owe me money. That's
you
a weird
owe
thing.
somebody money.
It's a weird
that
stance.
mosquito's family. I
Yeah.
assume. No, I'm sure that there was like some form of taxation on that. That's just kind of how it works, because you have to punish people for just doing whatever they
Although-
want.
In Apocalypse Now, just because it's shot internationally, I guess, they friggin' cut a cow in half with a saw, and
There-
they really did that, and you see
Depending
it
on
on
the
camera.
era,
Yeah.
the American Humane wasn't as influential, and there wasn't the
Or
legislation
wasn't a
that
thing
there was.
yet, or didn't
Yeah.
have the clout.
Yeah. So
All right, I sent you guys
different.
another version of the book cover because it reminded me of a scene we skipped over, which is when a man
Oh, that's
immediately
right.
tries to kill himself
Right.
after finding out he's paralyzed. So they decided to re-release this book with just a still frame of a man with his head in a dry cleaning bag suffocating to death. That's the cover.
and then it says monkey shines.
Monkey shot. No monkey
Yeah, it's
in
from
From the
sight.
bizarre
best-selling
cover.
author of Blind Sight.
That is a bizarre cover because it tells me nothing about what the book is about. I don't know.
But
I
it
guess
does
don't judge a
remind
book
me-
by cover, but
It does remind me that this film, another facet of this film is that it's not very sensitive about being a quadriplegic.
Oh, not
So
at all.
It has that going for it too.
Yeah, huge warning for anyone. It's hugely ableist. The main character basically is just the other reason this movie is so funny is his performance is just out of this world, wild on so many levels. Yeah, and he just complains.
Oh yeah,
the
the
whole
bird.
time. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That bird fucking deserved to die. I've never seen anyone so mad at a bird. Well, maybe once.
It's very
But
what is that? Whatever happened to Baby Jane?
what is that? That missed me somehow.
Whatever happened to Baby Jane? Oh boy! Oh, you guys should cover it. It's great. It's Betty Davis and what's her face?
Liz Taylor.
No, the other one.
Barbra
Anyway,
Streisand.
Barbra Streisand. Anyway, it's a famous movie where they play sisters who were like, when they were young, this is a tangent. When they were young, they were, child stars. And now that they're older, they're like, trying to kill each other, basically. And one of them very famously cooks her bird and feeds it to her for dinner.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
So-
pretty fun.
Ugh,
Oh, and
great
we didn't
film.
mention that he finally does kill the monkey
he
by
kills the monkey.
luring it close enough to his mouth that he can bite its throat and then whip his head around like a dog until its neck snaps. So I enjoyed that. See, I feel like this would be a fun movie to watch in a bigger group. We need Dave and Tom here as well. Maybe like Star, someone with a lot of natural energy to be, because there is a lot of joy to be had here. But I think both Abe and I are curmudgeons of like over the top stuff stopped working on me for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't usually like bad movies, which is to say I don't find them entertaining just because they're crazy. And there's few exceptions. And for the first, I'd say act and a half, I was like, oh, okay, it's fine that I watched this. Like, sometimes you got to just kill a couple hours in your life to do your job as a podcaster was sort of my vibe. But by the middle of Act 3, I was like, you actually won me over. This is pretty insane. Because I was
Interesting.
looking forward to doing the podcast and saying things like, this is remarkably grounded for a movie about a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like when you start to realize it's so low key, because it's not even that, as we said, it's not that gory and they don't milk it in a horror-y way. But when you just write out the plot synopsis or in your head just realize what you're watching, it's quite remarkable.
What
It's
do you
remarkable
find
that it got
interesting
made in a
about
lot
it?
of ways.
Okay, so you just like the fact that it gets to where it gets.
Well,
like,
there's a lot
that's-
of people who will go for like a snakes on a plane factor, or if something's
Right.
crazy cavalcade of contrasting elements, they're like, I love how batshit this movie is. That's really hard for me. You have to be really batshit.
I
And
agree.
this movie is, because there's a shot where a monkey hand that looks like a pipe cleaner is grasping a straight razor
Right.
and
And
lunging
running
at an
around.
actor. Well, he just moves his head away from it like, oh no, oh no. It's
The
just,
whole needle,
pretty crazy.
The whole section with the needle and what's her name, Marianne, where he's just like, Ella is the name of the monkey. She is like kind of coyly stabbing at her face.
oh
with the
yeah.
needle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That got me because I have like needles in general, but like are kind of horrifying, not because of the damage they do, but because like it's just a visceral kind of like a thin, like I don't know, it's just a lot of us have that kind of reaction to needles, and I thought that I thought cutting between that and building a like ticking clock with that was a good maneuver. That was a good horror maneuver in terms of like the terror.
It
wasn't-
was, and yet literally the look of a monkey actor bumbling around with a needle so funny.
It's
They're like,
hilarious.
am I gonna stab you here? Maybe.
What about it in the eyebrow? Yeah, it's silly, but it actually was like, I was like, I kind of want to look away. And then I was like, but I'm also, this is silly. So it has that weird resonance because like there are times in movies where I'm like, or in horror movies in particular, where I'm like, no, and we all get that reaction to it. And it had that moment for me. But at the same time, I was like, this is silly also. So it was just the fact that they chose like the needle imagery and they shot very close shots of it.
Yeah.
You seen the Evil Dead remake? The gritty
Yes.
one? The one image from that still haunts me is one of the zombies stabbing someone in the face over and over. And what's great about it is it's like a sewing machine. The zombie doesn't care. They're just going boom, boom, boom,
It's
boom,
just
boom, boom,
repetitive.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Pure
really,
scene.
really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's so sometimes that just wrote kind of cutting between shots of someone going like, no, like, don't do it, and then someone
Does it.
I mean, it
But
can
the
be both
monkey
hilarious
is playful
and,
about it.
yeah, it's kind of because it like they don't have a good grasp of the needle. It's like a clearly elaborate prop that's being manipulated. It's like puppeteered to some extent, and they didn't really nail it. So it's kind of hilarious. And you know what? That's fine.
Yeah. Well, even also the opening surgery scene, I have to look away during that.
Oh, the cutting of
yeah.
the spine.
That's
Yeah.
such a great classic effect.
I've never seen that they like drape like plastic wrap over you.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that before. Although I've never really had like a crazy spinal surgery, so I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes
holds
sense.
all your
I guess. It
giblets
keeps-
together.
Yeah, I guess it feels like they're gonna split that fucker open anyway. So, but it seems like that would be something they do.
I think it's also coated with disinfectant. I don't know. I ain't no
that,
doctor,
yeah,
but
look like that.
I thought they
Yeah.
were doing a thing like a Doctor Strange thing because Stanley Tucci makes a joke while doing surgery, and I thought it was the kind of thing where they're talking about like how doctors get desensitized and you make a joke during a serious surgery. But then I've turned out it was even less subtle than that, and he's evil and he's fucking his
Yeah,
wife.
and horny. He's evil and horny, and he's fucking the wife.
And his negligence paralyzed a man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there's like the good doctor, like the older doctor.
Oh, right.
who's
Who's like, he missed a
is
bunch
there-
of stuff.
I don't
Yeah, he's
remember
like
him.
a more down to earth doctor, I guess. I think they're doing a thing where it's like Stanley Tucci is like like a city doctor,
Playboy doctor.
versus,
Yeah,
Playboy,
yeah.
like a
He'll fuck
Doctor
your wife
Strange.
while you're in surgery.
Right,
Yeah.
but like this old second opinion doctor is like, well, if I can get in there, maybe I can fix you. It's like this real Americana. They do that a few times, and I think that's like Romero's thing. Is he has like a real love for rural imagery.
There's a lot of
Even Marianne in this. It's like kind of strange that our introduction to, or it's not. is it Marianne or is it Melanie? I can't recall.
She looks like
The
Marianne.
woman who trains the service
The monkeys, yeah.
Yeah.
She, when they first meet her, there's like a wholesome soundtrack over a section where she's living a very rural American lifestyle, has an enormous swath of land, and she's like living off the fat of land. She has horses. There's like fences that clearly are handmade, and there's a large barn to keep her cages of monkey prisoners. But it's just like very funny to me that he's like idolizing that. There's something about even Alan Mann, his first. So Romero almost doesn't always, but he tried to shoot, especially early in his career, in Pittsburgh all the time because that's where he lived. And Pittsburgh is kind of like, obviously like a sprawl kind of attitude, a lot of industrial. And he still shows like Alan Mann is this kind of like Rocky of Pittsburgh, where he's like going out and running and enjoying his body and getting in touch back like with nature, getting away from like the city. And then of course Stanley Tucci being like the representative of like the rich elite that like kind of preys on people. I think that Romero had a lot of, and even when you go back to Night of Living Dead, like that whole thing is like set up to be about the suburbs, right? That's why it takes place there. It's kind of talking about like what is the middle class and what is the poorer classes, and it's kind of a like I've read papers on the capitalistic critique that is that movie, and that's kind of goes into the zombie myth in general. So like he's got a lot of ideas kicking around that are pretty good. And it's just interesting that he always like tries to strive for that. He tries to give you imagery, even if it's loosely aligned with this idea of being like outside or being a part of the world and being outside cities. Romero seemed to hold this belief through several films.
Yeah. That's a big Romeroism that pops up. But I didn't notice it in this movie until you pointed it out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also deserves a lot of credit because, like you said, I don't know, Get Out, I feel like gets so much deserved credit. It's in like my top 5 movies to watch all the time. And yet, I remember a lot of people talking about what was so revolutionary about Get Out was wrapping horror around a social message. And that was rare at the time, but it's not like it had never been done. Romero did that. Get Out reminded us powerfully of how you could do that. And in for fact, like the last origins. 15 years, horror hadn't been doing that. It had just been doing fucking around with scary ideas.
Right, for teenagers.
And so it did remind us powerfully of a thing, but a thing that Romero also did. So hat tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like that's where horror kind of originated. That's where zombies and like obviously vampires came from, like the aspect of like this blood-sucking,
sexual, sinful,
aristocrat class, because they're seductive. They were usually portrayed as having a lot of money, which is why Dracula is like a count,
Right. But then we had this long period, which is almost interesting because you're right. I think historically horror usually has been commentary based, but we went through a long period where it's like Final Destination. What is that commentary on? Nothing.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think it comes mainly from the 70s. I think you can actually credit this to the 70s and the advent of the slasher film. Because we got so involved with like the with the Jasons of it all and like the Michaels, that it became like the
thrill of the
blockbuster
kill.
The blockbuster attitude of like, oh, there's money to be made in a very compelling villain. And horror movies, you can just invent a crazy villain, and so that became in vogue, and it was a big. Nothing in the 60s was even close to that. There wasn't really crazy amount, like horror films weren't really they existed, but they weren't really something that brought people to the theaters until we started getting in the 70s and the advent of the slasher. So the 80s is kind of like the response to that. Like it's kind of like we're tired of that and we need to think of more interesting things, which is why you saw a lot more sci-fi and a lot more high concept art with that kind of, like when we're talking about movies that are like trying to push like a social message, I guess, through genre.
If you watch every version of what was it? Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The first one's very just straightforward, and then once you get to the 70s, yeah, it's a huge social commentary. Yeah, it's interesting. You can just use that movie to track horror through its history.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. There's been a lot of books written on the topic, but like, I don't know, for this one, I really think it's like, and Romero's talked about this, like, cause we did another frame rate on Romero's film, one film that he, really wanted to make fairly early in his career and didn't feel like he got to make it until he finally felt he had enough power and clout that he could untypecast himself from a horror director. And that was Night Riders, which is about a Renaissance fair gang of Renaissance
joust on motorcycles.
Who joust on motorcycles. And it's like, so he really wanted to talk about like what does it mean to like be in a society, and what are societies? Like, this is what Romero wants to talk about all the time, right? But he just got kind of flung into the horror direction because of his career in the, like the 70s. His ability to, control horror. He was a name, and he was quite good at it. And he knew the people. So it was unfortunate that he had to be, that's how it was back then though. You couldn't just be like a Jordan Peele and just be like, right. I'm a comedian. Now I'm a horror director. Oh, okay. If you want, like, we're a lot more receptive to that. Production studios do not really allow
and yet
that.
It's not like it's not a thing. Like when you and I go out for our, to try and get larger projects going, we favor comedy because it's what we're known for.
It's what we're good at. We cut our teeth on it, absolutely. But at the same time, the soul of the artist, you always want to do something else.
And you're saying it's more possible now than it has been historically to change lanes. It's not as big of a shock.
Thanks to the 90s and the auteurs, the James Camerons, the Spielbergs. So yeah, Romero, I think, had a lot of good ideas on that one. This one is very, very typically like he is being told what to do. Like do you like this project? Yes, I like it. I would like to direct this. All right, well, you're going to direct it in this way.
Right.
Which is why there's actually a alternative ending.
I was wondering about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was unreleased until 2014, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because it came out on Blu-ray and they're like, throw it in there. And so in the original ending, Dorothy, the mom, and Jeffrey, who's his buddy, Alan's buddy, so Stephen Root steals the remaining brain tissue serum and injects it into all of the test monkeys. And then after Alan regains his ability to move, Stephen Root is assaulted by an animal rights protesters who, in an earlier scene, attacked Jeffrey for experimenting on monkeys. And then Stephen Root insults them and returns to his lab and discovers that all the remaining monkeys have taken control of his mind. So the ending is kind of like, like a Jurassic Park ending, where it's like it will still persist. Like the serum is still out. In fact, it looks like it's going to be a lot worse for part 2, Monkey Shines 2. So it had a lot darker of an ending. And it also, I like the idea that it, that it involved the protest stuff. Because there's once again, like,
they set it up and never, that would have made it an arc. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But, I think that the studio, which at this point, I think was Orion, was very much it's you put a bow on it.
Well, one of the other changes was there were more scenes. There were like more horror scenes, and they mostly involved abusing the monkey or fighting with the monkey. And the producers ended up cutting them all out because they were like, even though no animals were harmed in the making of, we don't want there to be confusion in the marketplace or whatever. We don't even want people to think we might have harmed the monkey. And it's like, well, that does make it harder to make the movie scary, for sure.
Yeah.
If you can't fight the monkie.
You can't fight the monkey. What's left?
The monkey just killing unsuspecting people, which they keep orchestrating happening.
Right. Yeah,
where you're like,
Ella could escape, I guess.
Honestly, anyone could take the monkey if you were like in an arena and it's like you and this monkey and you're aware it's coming for you. You could just stomp the shit out of this monkey. But, the movie orchestrates situations where the monkey has the upper hand or the element of surprise. I did like that it's one of the few movies, and Monkey Bone passes this test too, where the partner... There's so many movies where something supernatural happens. Like, I know K-Pax didn't have a girlfriend, but if K-Pax had a girlfriend, he's like, I'm an alien. And she's like, I don't believe you. And he's like, believe me. And she's like, okay, I do. They always believe really fast. And in both of these Monkey Month, Maggie Madness movies, at least their partner is like, I don't really believe you. I think you're crazy. Which is way more realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
I love
Until
both
she walks in and the monkey is like waving a razor blade around. She's like, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe there's something with this monkey.
What else do we want to talk about? I want to we all have the same favorite line. It's like the best line in the movie, right?
What's your favorite line?
Hit us with it.
Ella pees on Alan, and then he says, "You slime, you filth. I'm gonna take you apart. I'm gonna rip your fucking eyes out." And then it cuts to a shot of Ella, and then he says, "I'm gonna tear you open and chew your fucking heart."
Yeah, I forgot how funny. You slime, because a monkey peed on him.
Yeah. And it's not like you can get like a monkey to act like spiteful. You just have to cut to
so the monkey's just looking at him with a blank monkey face.
Monkey's face.
It's a monkey
and
face.
it's just like, whatever. You know, I'm a monkey.
Well,
like that's its expression.
Not being
The
able
challenge, like you were saying, the acting's bad, and I would say, I don't know how anyone could have done a great job. Like the guy who plays A-Man he showed up for work. He tried his hardest to do what was required of him, which is a monkey just peed on you. You can only move your face. Say the line, you slime. Can I say anything else? No, that's the script. You have to say you slime. Like for all those constraints, he acquitted himself well, I think.
That's true. That's true. That's credit where credit's due. That's hard to do.
You slime. That is so good. Thank you for reminding me of that moment. There's like 3 big moments for me, and I had forgotten that one. Doesn't he? He also electrocutes an old lady in the bath. That's a good one.
Yeah, his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy's mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the overbearing mom.
Who doesn't understand why he's acting that way and is going to like punish him for having.
It has a lot of overlap with a far superior movie, Upgrade. That would be a good double feature as well. You seen that, Max?
No, I haven't.
Oh, also features a guy paralyzed in an accident who is butthurt about it, and yet handles it in a completely different way. Obviously, because there's only one Monkey Shines, baby.
There's only one.
I imagine that the writer of this story got back from Rear Window and was like, I got an idea. But instead of looking out and seeing all the people, it's just monkeys all the way down.
And that's my idea.
I think you probably start with like monkey as a villain, monkey as a killer. Okay, who would be susceptible to that? Well, quadriplegics use monkeys, so you'd invite it into your home. You're already somewhat incapacitated. Like, I get it. It's just that thing where you think of a story idea and then you build this precarious tower of nonsense to justify it, and you're like, it was never gonna work, bro. It's too much explaining, where you're like, they're psychic and the monkey has brains injected into it and it's making him an animal. It's too much, but it makes a delicious monkey pie that is Monkey Shines. So thank you, Maggie.
Altogether, it's, it's a wonderful dessert. There's a lot of many flavors, and at the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I tasted.
Yeah. If you want, I think you could watch the second half of Monkey Shines. Like, I don't even know that you need to watch the first half.
I agree. Unless
second half would hit hard.
Right. I do find the first half funny, but, if bad movies don't tickle your jib, skip right to the second half and you'll have a ball. Yeah.
I think it's an excellent movie to watch in a group because there's a lot of shots that are just, like, ridiculous,
Yeah, it's very...
what is going on?
A shock factor.
So I imagine people would have a lot of fun just like going back and forth laughing at that. But you know, it's I wouldn't call it like pulp, like a movie that you laugh at for being stupid in every capacity. This is just like, it's a tough premise to really execute because you're kind of set up for failure with all of the moving parts.
And then a fairly competent team tries to be serious about it anyway. And you're like, well, that comes off crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because they really did treat it seriously.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to laugh ever. You know, but that's what it is. I
think at the end of the day, I still prefer the weirdness of Knight Riders, which, by the way, do check out that archive episode. Knight Riders with a K. Knight Riders. I think that was a Soren pick.
That was Soren. Yeah, Ed Harris is in it. Not in the podcast.
That's the craziest thing, is watching Ed Harris do this batshit material.
And he's doing it, you know.
He also showed up for work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Romero has that ability. There's, you know, when you read about him, some people mention like he's kind of like Cassavetes, in that like the famous example of Cassavetes is that like he was an actor himself. He came through the theater and he used the same stable of actors for like everything. And like for every movie, like Shadows or whatnot, like he would like the rehearsals were rigorous, but not because like he was like a tyrant, but because he really asked all of his cast to like, we're going to come to my place. I'm going to make us an enormous meal. Like, and we're gonna like stick around my house for like 3 days, you know, like we're gonna get high. We're gonna, you know, like just talk. We're gonna rehearse the scenes. And then, you know, like after a few days, you know, we'll do it again in another week or two. And that's how it kind of ran. Because I think it was important to Cassavetes, and likewise for Romero, that he has like some kind of connection with all of his actors on some level.
Little did he know all he had to do was grind up brains and inject it into his head.
Yeah. And then you have telepathy. And this is young Romero, but I think you see a lot of that early on in Living Dead and all that. Like he really, really treats the actors and gives them a lot of like a wide berth.
Yeah.
Which is why you kind of, sometimes that's a really good strategy. Sometimes you get pretty over the top performances because not all actors know exactly what like the tone is of the movie and will establish a tone for themselves or their character and go a little too far or not far enough, and it becomes kind of laughable, like I would say in this movie where everyone's just kind of taking for granted, yeah, the monkey stuff is probably going to be awesome, right? Because like George is really awesome and, you know, we trust George, and it's like, oh, it's not the greatest. You know, so when you're acting that big and then it cuts to a monkey who's not really like feeling like spiteful or something like that, the filmmaking doesn't really transmute that to the viewer.
Especially when you're caught between the producers saying, like, if you had a shot of the monkey screaming with rage, they'd be like, how'd you get that shot? Did you hurt that monkey?
Right,
like,
right.
it seems like their hands were tied in many ways in a lot of directions.
Yes. Absolutely.
Maggie, what are other good monkey movies? Is that too much to ask?
Oh man,
I'm trying to wrap up Monkey Month.
Well,
I want to know if there's any monkamendations.
I will say, as far as like animal movies, if you haven't seen Zeus and Roxanne, it's a great dolphin and dog joint.
That's a tasty combo.
It's a tasty combo. It's about a dolphin and a dog who are best friends. Steve Guttenberg plays a dad who, you know, is looking for love again. It's, you know, like parents falling in love kind of movie.
You'd think that the dolphin would be named Zeus, but you'd be wrong.
That's true.
Right?
Abe, any favorite animal movies?
Geez, that is a tough question. So it has to be a movie about an animal.
Yeah, where animal acting is part of the attraction, part of the spectacle. I mean, The Thing almost counts. I know you love that movie because that dog is very well trained. No, oh man, no.
No, I don't really care about this genre. I think it's
So no.
I think well, here's the thing. I
Shitting
think I
on
get
Free
what
Willy,
Maggie's
shitting on
Oh,
Black
man.
Beauty.
yeah, all that.
Flipper.
I mean, like, to
Anaconda.
me, like,
Yes, I love Anaconda.
like, Look Who's Talking is in this category.
Oh
Like,
no! Now you're shitting on the idea of human children. People don't like
no,
that.
No, it's more of like when we get in the mind of like animals or babies or things that don't talk. It's hilarious to me because it's so stupid. It's such a stupid idea, and I think it's silly. I think it should be animated like Pixar can do it. I think that Fox and the Hound can do it.
Oh my God, wait.
But I don't think that movies can. So therefore, my favorite is like the worst of the worst, and I gotta give that for multiple reasons to the what is it, the 2016 film 9 Lives.
Is that about a cat? I assume.
It's about a cat, and guess who's the cat?
Dame Judi
Kevin
Dench.
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
I
a
remember
cat.
that one. The
And
Kevin
it's
Spacey
so
cat.
bad.
I do
It's
remember
so bad.
that. Yeah.
And so you just, it's like the safest movie to hate because it's just so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing.
it's Kevin Spacey acting horrible, and you're supposed to be on his side, and it's hilarious to me.
Well, there you
so
go.
it's like that's one I'll watch.
That's
I'll watch
wild.
9 Lives. Fuck
Now
it.
you ready to be proven wrong? Because my favorite is a legitimately good film where the animal acting is
Is
used
the bear one?
to support the story, and it truly embraces animal point of view. Yeah, The Bear. The Bear is a great movie.
The Bear.
The
The Bear, a movie
Bear.
from the point of view of a bear that really captures that. Like, it is an honest attempt at an experiment of telling a movie
Alright.
from an animal's point of view, and it rips.
Dang, I thought you were gonna say Homeward Bound or
That's a
Two
classic,
Brothers.
but I'm
Yeah,
talking. Well,
babe.
Two Brothers is by the same guy who did The Bear, and it's also very good. Where Guy Pearce
fuck.
fights 2 baby tigers.
I totally forgot that there's a subsection of animal movies that I do love, which is documentary. Animal documentaries
oh
are the
yes,
greatest.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's what is it? Mark Lewis, Australian filmmaker who made Cane Toads, best documentary of all time. Forget about it. It's so good, and it just follows cane toads.
Wow, and it's just called
That's
Cane
it.
Toads.
It's just called Cane
I will
Toads. Track
absolutely
it down.
watch it.
It's amazing. And if you, Maggie, if you really want to watch it, I have a copy of it. I'll lend it to you.
Oh, thank you.
For
That'd be
real.
wonderful.
Like, the more people who watch this, the better. It is a masterclass in filmmaking and working with animals. The Cat from Outer Space, I guess.
The Bear
That's
is
a
also
classic
good.
one. The Bear. The Bear is
Bear.
also good. You had your time.
Jumanji.
Is that technically? See, now we're getting in the
Yeah, I was
category
gonna
where
say-
it's just like if
Oh,
there's an
the
animal.
Robert
Well, I
Downey Jr.
googled movies with
Doolittle.
monkeys in them because I feel
okay,
bad that
'cause-
we're not. No one said Planet of the Apes. One of us should have said that.
I don't know.
What's this movie?
That's-
Monkeys Go Home.
Monkeys go home.
1967. So next year when we do, because May is going to come around again sooner than you think, and when
That's
we do Maggie
true.
Mae's Monkey Month of May Madness again, I
have to
suggest we
find
watch
some monkey
Monkeys
films.
Go Home.
Let's watch Monkeys Go Home. This
The
time
19
next year, we'll gather again. Once again,
1967 Walt Disney low budget movie starring a monkey.
And then Monkey Bone again.
again, yeah.
Oh, I'll watch Monkey Bone anytime, dude. Hank Dussard, the new owner of an olive grove, brings in chimp laborers, which upsets the other workers. Nice.
Oof. That sounds like that could be rough, but that also might be fantastic. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
So I guess
I'm liking this.
thanks for making this a tradition, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're kind of forcing you into this tradition.
We're
I feel that.
pleased. I feel like our Monkey Bone episode was great, and this episode was a good excuse to talk to my friends, which I enjoyed.
Aw. what a graceful way to phrase it.
I don't know that
Yeah.
it's our most focused episode of Frame Rate ever, though.
No. Well, this movie isn't very focused. You know, we went with the flow, much like Romero himself.
And much like
Yeah.
your other podcast, which I saw this as kind of
That's true. Yeah.
hybridization with Frame Rate. Speaking
Right.
of, What is the other podcast that you host on this very network?
Oh boy, you guys, if you're listening to this, you could also go listen to, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, which is Adam and Mai's podcast, which I'm texting him about right now. And yeah, our podcast is great. It's just two friends, and we present each other a piece of media, and then we talk about it.
You got any new topics that haven't been taped yet?
We have a couple, and actually, if you want to suggest topics, you can become a patron member on the Small Beans Patreon tier. So, yeah, but we're brainstorming a few.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's not ready to tip her hand.
No,
That's fine.
I'm not ready.
No, well, actually, it's because right now I know because I'm telling them to do this. They develop topics, and then the way it works is then they pick 4 of the topics, and then you, the Patreon, participants of this, the producers of this show, get to vote on an exclusive poll on what episode they cover. So they're in the phase right now where they're just generating the topics, and that we don't even have the topic yet for the next 2 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how it's done.
What else?
You
released a video essay recently.
Oh, I did. Yes.
Fairly recently.
I did. Oh, I can reveal that. So I just put out a video about the documentary Coup 53 and also the movie All the President's Men. And I interviewed the director Taghi Amirani and Walter Murch, who edited.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's a great video.
Thank you.
I suggest everyone go to the YouTube and watch it.
Legendary editor Walter Murch.
Oh, and we're releasing the full interview as well, which it'll be up by the time this comes out. So yeah, you can watch that too.
So check that out. Say hi to a monkey in your area today.
Yeah.
And enjoy the remainder of May, people. Monkey May.
What's left
complete.
of it?
Maggie Mae's Monkey Movie Madness month of May.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This has been a monkey of a time.
Maggie.
Yeah.
Monkey.
Yeah, Monkey.
Monkey May.
This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the small beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you!